Morning. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. Present with us is the safety with Jesse. Jesse, you want to start us off on what you got going here, please?
Yeah, so commissioners, today I'd like to introduce you to Stormy Tuffield from Montana State Fund, and I'll let him introduce himself and what he does and what he's got in front of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. My name is Stormy Tuffield. I'm the safety management consultant with the Montana State Fund assigned to Jefferson County's policy. Dan Johnson was here for a number of years prior to that. He promoted within the organization, and rightfully so. And so I have taken his place as the consultant for the policy. So doing very similar work to what he did, wanting to build, maintain, and enhance the program that you guys already have working here, focusing on the safety of the county employees. And so whenever I get assigned a new policy, I produce what's called a loss analysis, which just helps me understand some of the history of what's gone on with regard to claims here at the county. And so that's what you have in front of you this morning. That top block there is the current policy year. So the number of claims that have been reported to state fund since 7/1, the beginning of your policy year. So we have one biological exposure. And it's still being reviewed and worked through to get all that claim finalized. And then below that is the policy years from 2021 to current. So the last 6 years, so it's a look back on those. And what we want to look at is, okay, hey, because we only have one policy or one claim this year, right? Knocking on all the wood we can find. The reality is I need to look further back and see what the history of claims activity has been for the county. And so what I'm looking for is trends in frequency, so the number of claims in a specific category, and then severity, how costly those claims truly are. And so what I've done is I've put that table together, which is the second table there, and just some notes below that kind of cover some of that. So slips, trips, and falls, use of force assault, which is just anytime, it can be patients working with hospital staff or clinic staff, and obviously with the sheriff's office as well. Use force assault just anytime a patient or a suspect is interacting with one of the county employees. Slips, trips, and falls obviously is pretty basic. And then other claims are those bodily response claims to where it's like I bent over to pick up a piece of paper that fell off my desk and my back gave out. There's really no like mechanical or no hazard that was present. It's more just your body's responding to a normal movement throughout the workday. So those are the three major categories as far as frequency and severity. And then of the 27 claims reported in the last 6 years, 25 of them are closed. That's a very, very good sign. You don't want claims remaining open year to year to year. And so the fact that the vast majority of those are closed is a very big deal. It's a very good thing. And then of those 27 claims reported, 2 include indemnity payments, and both of those are closed. Do you guys understand indemnity and why that matters when it comes to how works comp's calculated and all that? So with that, say Jesse and I are working together. We're both safety guys, right? We both have the same accident, right? It's a knee injury. I'm not trying to be too specific. But we have the same injury. Jesse is just a cooler dude than Stormy is. So we're going to bring Jesse back to work and he'll do some light, dirty work for us. And as he's doing that, Stormy's going to stay home. So Jesse's claim is 10,000, my claim's 10,000, but I was also off work for a couple days. So add a couple $100 to that. When the EMOD calculation is being done for the premium, Jesse's, because it was medical only, you guys got him back to work and there's no indemnity payments, discounts that $10,000 70%. So only 3,000 of that gets calculated into the EMOD moving forward. My claim, because a couple $100 were paid in wages, now $10,300 is being calculated. So same injury, same time in recovery. But the reality is because you got Jesse back sooner, his is discounted 70%, mine goes in at 100%. So when we see indemnity, we want to see 2 things. One, that number is very low. So out of 27, you only had 2 of them. That's a good sign, right? And both of those are closed, means that exposure is controlled. So that's both really good things. So once I kind of get an idea of what's happened, then I look back and say, well, what's it look like year to year? So that top box there on the back of the page is the EMOD going back from 21 to current. So the EMOD started in 2021 at a 1.53, which means if your premium was, say, $100, you're multiplying that premium by 1.53. So it's adding to your premium. right? So a 1 is average. We want to see those EMODs below a 1. And we've seen that steady decrease since 2021 to 2026, where you're now sitting at a 0.82. So you were having to spend more on your work comp insurance in 21. You're now getting a discount in your insurance in 2026. So that's the right direction we want to see that going in. And then below that is just total claims by policy year. So 2021, we had 3 claims, and we had 3 years of 7 claims apiece. 2025 had 2 claims, and so far this year we have 1. So that's just kind of an idea of just the activity of the policy. And so those are the things I like to look at to kind of orient myself to the work that we're doing. I met with Jesse when I first came on the policy, was able to kind of get an idea of what the safety program looks like and what the safety program's working on. I was also able to attend the solid waste and the road crew safety meetings in this last month. So those are both helpful for me to kind of see the focus here at the county. So with that, do you guys have any questions for me?
Is your claim year the same as our fiscal year, or is it a calendar year?
It's fiscal. Well, for us, it's 7/1. Is that the fiscal year for you guys?
No.
Okay, so it'd be,
So it's a
yeah.
fiscal year. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you're saying the time frame, I mean, I could be compared to you and Jesse, like what you're talking about. in
Sure.
the sense of payment. Is it, like you said, it's better to see it sooner, but is there any particular time frame that if you don't get to that, then you're gonna end up having to pay more?
Great question. So it's 32 hours or four shifts missed. So it's 32 hours or 4 days, whatever's. Once that 4-day window rolls over, and they haven't come back to work, we start picking up their paychecks at 2/3 of what they would average get on a weekly basis. Without, so
And,
that's kind of.
that's scheduled shifts. Right?
Yes,
That's
correct.
scheduled shifts. So
Correct.
if they injure themselves on Friday and they have weekend off and come, Monday and Tuesday, come back Wednesday, they're still
Correct.
within that time.
Correct.
So
Yep. So it's scheduled. Yeah.
it's important to have a strong return to work program. And I think our supervisors are on that. They're good at getting folks back at light duty and stuff like that since I've started. So
Okay, good. That's my question. Thank you.
What kind of programs and stuff do you got going, Stormy? Do we have any kind of education, or are we just
Yeah.
leaning on Jesse to kind of do the thing he does, or?
Yeah, so what I've observed from Jesse, he does a great job with training, putting together good stuff that keeps folks engaged. So you have a really good trainer in house, which is awesome. So I wouldn't worry too much about coming alongside to help build. It would be more, how can I help Jesse maintain or enhance what you guys are already doing? So I would look at, is there a way that I could come in and provide a training for you guys? So it's just a different voice with kind of a different take on the information, right? Or of course with WorkSafe Champions. Have you guys gone through WorkSafe Champions, Jesse?
we had one cohort. Yeah.
Okay. So WorkSafe Champions is another a very meaningful risk management training. We normally provide those to safety committee members or different employees within different groups within the county. Get them together to talk about what risk management is holistically. What are the approaches? What are the techniques? It's a 9-month program that you go through, and you develop a safety action plan, and then we educate you, and then you take what you've learned and apply it immediately to the county in the form of next steps. How are we going to take what we've learned and apply it to reduce risk for county employees moving forward? And so that's another program that we offer through state fund as well.
How do you mesh with Sites Insurance?
We're great with them.
Do
Yeah.
they have their own programming, or do they rely on you and Jesse to do most of it?
Yeah,
I'm sometimes confused the whole relationship between
Sure.
all of you put
Sure.
together.
Yeah, so a lot of the agents that represent you guys, so Sites moved you guys or has placed the insurance with State Fund. State Fund, we have consultants that work for the policyholders, right? And sometimes at the agencies, they'll have loss control folks as well. I haven't had the chance to work with any of Sites loss control. Sometimes that's just, with certain agencies, we work really closely. Some agencies we don't. It's really dependent more on how the agency's set up and then how what the policyholders' needs truly are.
Okay.
But we're more than happy to work with any of our partners loss control.
I know when we were struggling back in the day, I think it was Sites got a hold of Dan Johnson, and we started really
Sure.
hammering down on the
Yeah.
on the safety. So that
Yeah.
very much appreciated.
Sure.
Not only to save money, but to help our employees stay safe. That's
Absolutely.
probably the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And Jeremy Norby was, when I first started, he was the sites
Yep.
person. Now I think is it Tamara
I think so.
Crowder?
Yeah.
It does is our sites rep, but David Sites and I believe, I can't remember the other lady's name, but they show up to our safety committee meetings.
Jamie or
Yep, Jamie Larson, yep, that's who it was, yep. And they show up to our safety committee meetings.
Good.
And
no, they're a good crew for sure. Jeremy was the one that really spearheaded, I think, the start of our safety program and
Yep.
working with these guys and got it going and got it.
he came all the way from Sydney, Montana to
Yeah.
Boulder to
Yep.
sit in on some of our safety meeting stuff, so,
Incredible.
yeah.
Those guys
Yeah.
put some miles on.
Yeah.
So is there anything we can be doing better, Stormy, as far as the admin here? I mean,
Sure.
I think our biggest struggle is getting the sheriff's office to be a part of the safety conversation, and I
Sure.
don't know. Do you ever have anybody there from the sheriff's office? They do attend?
Well, we used to. I haven't seen anybody at the safety meeting since I've been a commissioner,
The
so.
only one I would say would be Doug Dodge, but you know, he doesn't represent really the sheriff's
Right.
office interest. I have seen James show up to one or two, when we first got started, but they've kind of fallen off.
That might be something we see if you can
Sure.
wiggle your way into the sheriff's office either
Yeah.
through,
We have a plan.
all right. I didn't mean that. Yeah.
I've been, so when I'm not consulting, I've been in the military for 20 years. And spent a lot of time in the Coast Guard. It was the first 10 years of my career. So that was all federal law enforcement. Spent a bunch of time doing that. When I first came to Montana, that was the career path I was going to go on, was the go into law enforcement here. That was back when everyone wanted to be law enforcement. So they could be a lot more, I didn't have
Nobody
a,
wants to be.
yeah, I didn't have a degree at the time. And so, I did everything I could to get on with Helena and Lewis and Clark County. And they're like, dude, you don't have a degree. So the police chief says, cut everyone that doesn't have a degree from the pool, and that's you. So anyways, ended up going back to school to get into, the police force, and ended up getting hired on with the state, and here I am. So all that background, I work with Department of Justice. That's another policy that I work closely with. The highway patrols, I have a bunch of good friends over there. I was out at Hior with them last week, just hanging out and seeing how they were going through their academy. So I have a bunch of connections that way, so I kind of speak some of that language, and so just using that humbly to try to see if I can meet with some of the deputies and the sheriff.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because
Sure.
they're one of our biggest exposures
Sure.
for
The use of force, definitely, and then they do some jujitsu stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some soft tissue injury
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
that
yeah.
comes out of that, but
Yeah. And we just did a big review of that at the academy, because that's where we were seeing a bunch of those injuries taking place. And the guys at the academy are professionals. They're awesome what they do. I got to sit there and observe one of their Fight for Life classes, and just phenomenal how those guys are not only running a well-trained or a well-oiled training program, but also trying to control risk. But it is just one of those things, when you're going hands-on with someone, like, that is inherently risky.
especially at our age.
Well,
that's another
yeah,
factor.
That's another factor.
That's another factor.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys, especially now, that are getting into law enforcement, either in the reserves or something like that as a second career.
Yep.
And when you're in Montana, you hire the whole individual. And so whatever pre-existing injuries that they have, if they get aggravated under your watch, even though they knew it was an injury before and they had surgery on it, that's nothing that gets found in the HR hiring process. And
Yeah.
now we're on it. So yeah, it's not an easy thing to address, but we're seeing a number of law enforcement agencies just across the state trying to do things to address some of those things, and looking at physical fitness up front and all that. So yeah, there's definitely some controls that we can put in place.
Good.
For sure.
Yeah, if you can keep us posted. I mean, if you hit a wall over there, let us know, because we need to get
Sure.
that wall brought down. 'Cause
Sure.
It's a liability for the county, and
Sure.
we're constantly talking to the sheriff about budget and cars and people and everything. I mean, that should be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
if they want the extra cash, they're gonna have to follow this stuff to help us maintain the cash, so.
Sure.
We can help in that front, but I
Sure.
think James is on training right now for months. So right now may not be the best time to get anybody, but eventually
Yeah.
Sure.
we
He's-
need to crack that egg.
And Dan and I were talking, I think he's in what, FBI Academy or whatever.
James.
Yeah, James.
Oh, yeah.
So he's gone for a few months.
Yeah. Monica.
Yep.
Is there any other holes, Jesse, in the county that we're not reaching or?
Yeah, our overhead meeting, I'd like to talk about our bloodborne pathogens policy. Our training with our folks has been, what is a bloodborne pathogen? How to keep you from being exposed to it. I've modified the training to now mirror what's in our bloodborne pathogens exposure control plan so that they get the highlights of it and what it looks like reporting wise, what it looks like from their side, and then what it looks like from the department head side, and what it looks like to HR and what they're doing, so they understand the flow of information a little bit more, kind of giving them the why we're doing what we're doing. And there's still references in that training to like chapters of where they might be, where they might fall in. So like solid waste might fall into like chapter 3 or whatever. And sheriff's office might fall into chapter 1, so on and so forth. That's all referenced in there and everything like that too. What we're finding is department heads are trying to do the right thing. They're just not following that policy that they signed and the commissioners signed and all this other good stuff. They're missing steps. And so people aren't getting notified. We want to close that loop, so that we're following that policy.
Because it's only required to be trained when you first.
No,
hired,
it's
right?
yearly. It's yearly.
It's supposed to be yearly.
Yeah, bloodborne pathogens
It's
is
supposed to be
yearly.
yearly, okay.
Yep. It's one of the 8 subjects that OSHA requires, the training annually. Lockout,
So-
tag out, electricity, bloodborne pathogens, so on and so forth.
Cause we can easily do it in the road in the solid waste meetings,
Mhm.
as we meet every month, but how about the other departments? How do we reach them?
So I met with the other department heads. They all have access to the J drive. And in that J drive, they have an Excel spreadsheet of all the trainings that are available with asterisks next to the required ones. They're supposed to go in, sign the sheet, deposit the signed sheet into the J drive. I can go in, and then check and see if they've done it. I'm not a big stickler on them doing it monthly. If they do it quarterly, they just do 4 trainings, as long as they get their 12 trainings and the 8 in the year, I'm pretty good. They required in the year. I'm okay with that.
Is that something that we could do more of a established meeting like you do for the road and the solid waste, where we pull Ginger's office in for a morning for an hour or 2 and go over whatever needs to be gone over for that quarter? or whatever?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that might be better, because I think our safety meetings that we have for road and solid waste are great. I mean, they're monthly, and I think they need it monthly, but
Mhm.
these guys probably only need it quarterly or semi-quarterly or.
Yeah,
something.
absolutely. I've made myself available. The department heads are aware that I'm available to come in and do their stuff. It's-
Department heads, we can bend their arm and make
Yep.
it do it, the elected officials, we can suggest it, but they're.
Yeah. Yeah, that elected official thing is always
Yeah.
a stickler, but yeah, the department heads, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we'll figure it out, but it'd be nice to do more of a scheduled meeting. I think we were trying to do it at like a department heads meeting, but I don't
Mhm.
think that's the platform for a training like this. So I think if we do either, like I say, a quarterly meeting with, if you do one month and do the different one the next month, but space them out quarterly per department.
Well, and I think some of the departments that only have one person in it, you could put them within another
Oh, yeah.
class, put them in with Ginger, put them
Yep.
in with
Yeah.
Whoever, yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
you
the
need to do.
Jills and
So
the-
you're not just doing one person.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely organize it so you got a good group there and.
Yeah, that's definitely a way, a path for improvement. You know, really the only department that's religious about the safety, sign-in sheets is the county attorney's office.
They're good with it.
They're good
They
with
do
it, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep, and I've bopped my head in there and I've done a few trainings. The most recent one was a lockout, tagout, sign policy. So like, when we adopted the lockout, tagout policy, it's actually law. So we went through the law, we went through, you know, what the steps of a lockout, tagout is, you know, and how to take it out of lockout, tagout, and then we had them sign the sheet.
Even the county attorney's office?
Even the county's attorney,
What are they locking out and tagging out?
they just need to know about it.
Their computers?
So the thing with lockout, tagout is, we might be going off the tangent a little bit, but lockout, tagout, there's the supervisor role, then there's the authorized user, and then there's the affected employee. The supervisor authorizes or gives the okay for the authorized users to lock out the stuff, and then you have the employees need to be aware of it. And we are the affected employees, you know, maintenance and shop personnel are the
Oh,
authorized
gotcha.
employees.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense, all right.
yeah, and then of course department heads are the supervisor roles.
That makes sense. I was
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what would possibly get locked out.
They just need to know about it and recognize it, yeah.
So they don't
And
try-
not mess with it.
So they don't try to defeat it, trying to
Yeah.
get access.
Yeah,
to
no,
power.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
If Pat's in there working on an electrical box and he's got the breaker off and then Steve comes in and the lights are out, well, I'll go to the breaker box. Click that back on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Good. Now, you got any other ideas for us, Stormy? I mean, I think we're going in the right direction. I don't know if there's anything we can add to
Ye-
improve or.
Yeah, it's easy for us to know for sure we're going in the right direction when we see numbers like this. And so I'm still getting on board and still orienting myself to the county. You know, I've worked with counties in the past, so just trying to see how things are functioning here and where the risk truly is. And yeah, just working with Jesse, you know, having a full-time guy who's focused on that is a really good deal. Part-time guy focused on it. But just having someone that's not like,
Full-time work.
right, yeah, but having someone
That
that
bleeds.
yeah, a lot of the time, we see, you know, duties as assigned given to counties. So like it's an HR individual or some other person that drew the long, short straw,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that are doing it. And so having someone that's actually got some background in it and focused on that is a real asset for the county. And so being able to just leverage that, to be a force multiplier for what Jesse's already doing is going to be helpful. So.
One of the things we identified this year was the onboarding process,
Mhm.
and we were looking at the road department is kind of piloting that onboarding process. I know Bear was working on it with Dan, and my portion of it was done with the orientation side of things, where I've adjusted the orientation so that it meets, you know, what we need for our employees. But Bear as a department head needs more detailed safety training, such as machines and JSAs and job safety analysis type stuff for his day-to-day operations. And he needed to, you know, to build that. And so he was working with Dan and myself getting that going. It's kind of fallen off the table since Dan, you know, got promoted. But Stormy's made himself available and stuff like that. So whenever we get time and he's not short-staffed, we'll pick it back up and run with it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully that template we can push to the other departments. Not specifically road department type template, but you know, more of an idea so that Ginger has an idea what she wants for her folks, and Mike has an idea for what he wants for his folks, so on and so forth. Weed department. So
Good. Sounds like a plan.
yeah.
So if you want to try to get meetings together with the various departments, let me know if you need help organizing those. I think we can just do pick a morning, like if Ginger wants your help, just to do the bloodborne pathogens or whatever.
Sure.
If you need my help doing that, but I don't think they're gonna do it on their own. If they haven't been doing it on their own, maybe the county attorney's office is doing it, you probably don't have to mess with them, but if anybody not doing it, that we can help. And I think if we steer away from the department head, the whole group, cause that's too big of a group to swallow all that at once and keep everybody's attention, so.
Well, some of that stuff, I mean, if we're looking at department head type training, it needs to be high level. Kind of skill building type deal, I would think, if you were to offer something to the department heads. And you know, the training I wanted to put on for bloodborne pathogens for the department heads was kind of looking at that high level. Hey, this is why this is what we're doing great. This is where our holes are, and we need to close those holes, and this is how you close them. Just so that we're taking care of our folks. That good stuff. But yeah.
Sounds good. Well, we'll work through it and with Stormy's help, he can crack heads, we can get it done.
Yep.
In the safest way possible.
Yeah, right.
Well, thanks for being here, Stormy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
I know you had to go about 3 blocks to get here.
Yeah, a long travel day.
Did you change your message on your work phone yet?
I still haven't figured out how to.
Oh, it's still pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Where your face, man?
Yeah. We should try to save that recording somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Archive.
We adjourned.
Yeah, thanks for your update, Jesse. I
Yeah.
appreciate it too.